All right guys, we are here today with the 2021 Alfa Romeo Giulia. Now this is the Veloce edition. The Giulia, to be honest, is a fantastic option for those looking for a mid-size sedan in the premium categories, but without wanting to kind of go for the mundane, average-looking car that everyone else goes for. And maybe someone that is after a little bit more of a spirited drive with a bit of soul, which Alfa Romeo is definitely renowned for. We have taken this through mountain passes. We've driven it in the rain. Honestly, it's a fantastic alternative to a lot of the other cars in this category. And of course has the fiery Italian heritage that makes it a fantastic driver's car. So let us show you a few of the things that we like about the car and why this is a car you should consider if you're after a mid-size sedan in the premium categories and segment. Now, starting with the front of the car, we have the traditional Alfa look, which we absolutely love, including the Roman Emperor shield type grille insert there, continuation of grills on the other side. They've continued by having the actual number plate on the left-hand side instead of having it centered, which we think adds a completely different look and just stands out over the standard premium cars that are out there at the moment. Beautiful headlight design. Now in the Veloce, they have a adaptive bi-xenon headlight, which is a more intense headlight than the standard super model. And obviously will corner with the car to give you a bit of an increased field of visibility. Beautiful daytime running light lights up at the top, which you'll see in a second. And outside of that, from a front end, there's not much else to report, but it is a beautifully designed and sleek front end, as you would expect from an Italian sports car. All right, now powering the Veloce models is a 207 kilowatt, 400 Newton meter torque, petrol 4-cylinder engine. As you'd expect from a car made in Italy, it is absolutely superb on the open road. More than enough power as you're powering up and down a lot of the hills here in Brisbane and the mountain passes, and definitely in the wet as we've had a bit of rain. It has been superb and phenomenally stable on the wet surfaces. Now, with this car, coupled with the phenomenal engine, is an 8-speed automatic transmission and a carbon fiber tail shaft leading through to the rear wheel drive system, and an Alfa Link suspension system that is absolutely well geared for on-road and dynamic driving. It does have the adaptive suspension as well, which is superb. And one of the great things about this car is there's been a lot of weight saving and weight reduction measures taken for the car to help get the weight down so that it is that dynamic drive, which leads that this car, compared to its other luxury alternatives, is actually a minimum of about 200 kilograms lighter than its nearest competitor, and up to 700 kilos lighter than half the other cars that are in the category and segment. Now, from the side, we have these beautiful Veloce 19-inch alloy wheels. Now they're paired with the Pirelli Zero tires. It's been a beautiful combination because it means the car sticks to the road even in the wet. You got some nice big brake calipers as well to add for that stopping power. At no point have we felt that the car is under braked, I guess, in any tight corners or at speed. And from the side, you have more of that black badging in the Veloce badge. So let's go inside and show you through. So starting from the outside, you have this beautiful trimming throughout the car that starts at the doors. You have this nice leather design on the top half and bottom half, stitching highlights down here. You have the nice silver highlights and almost like a carbon fibery brushed steel look at the top. And of course you have the Harman Kardon audio system, which is absolutely superb. In the center here as well, you have some premium soft touch materials. That extends through to the dash, which is also a leather finish and with stitching highlights. And then obviously the color scheme in this one is that kind of rich Italian tan. To be honest, as you come inside the car, it actually looks and feels almost like you're jumping into a Ferrari. So they've done an exceptional job at making the inside feel not only luxury, but also sporty as well. Now from an interior, guys, the steering wheel, absolutely perfection when it comes to a driver and driver's car. You don't need a huge sweeping turn in order to turn the wheels to a functional turn around car parks, let alone on open roads. You have the push button start directly on the wheel, so it feels almost like you're getting into a Formula One car and just going all out, or into some of the faster supercars as well. So it gives you a real nice sporty feel the minute you get into this car. The seats are a leather sports seat. Look, from a comfort perspective, they're kind of just on the borderline of comfort. I'd like to see a little bit more comfort overall, particularly if you're on the wider side of things. Not so much weight-wise, but if you have broad shoulders and a broad positioning for your ribs, the bolsters actually do really kind of poke into you, and they are a little bit uncomfortable if you're in an extended period of time. But for most driving scenarios, even on the weekend when we were in the car for a couple of hours, it was fine. It kind of started pushing the limits at about that 2 to 3 hour mark. You have heated seats as well for the interior. And you have all your audio controls and your cruise controls directly in front of you and in functional positions. One thing I really like as well is the actual volume is a scroll wheel rather than the push button audio adjustment, which just makes it super easy when you need to turn the volume up or down. You have the auto stop start system that's designed to save fuel. I'm not a fan of it, but the car does have it. I personally haven't seen any real fuel reduction in this car. It's meant to be 6.1 per 100. We've probably been averaging about the 8.5 litres per 100 with and without the auto stop start when you come to a stop at the lights. Automatic headlights are standard. Obviously, as we mentioned, front and rear parking sensors are also standard. And you have your automatic windscreen wipers and auto headlights as well. One of the cool functions and features on this car as well is that you also have what they call a traffic jam assist and kind of inner city assist. And what that does is you press and activate the button at all speeds. What it will do is it will assist with you steering and with speed management once you've selected a speed. So all you need to do is keep your hands on the steering wheel. It's kind of, I don't know, almost like a autonomous mode, but really it's not. Because if you had your radar cruise control on, if your hands are on the steering wheel, naturally you probably should be steering the car. But I'm sure there's some benefit if you're in some extended traffic, somewhere. So that part of it's covered. You got the flappy paddle gear selectors on the back. They actually work really, really well compared to a lot of others. They're super responsive and their gear shifts are actually on time, both shifting up and down, which is really impressive and something we really, really liked with this. Air conditioning vents have these cool, almost, kind of engine or jet turbine exhaust looking things. So that design is really nice and adds to that sports/premium look and feel of the car. And then one other feature with the cruise control that we really liked, because it is a adaptive radar cruise control system, which will adapt to whatever the speed is in front of you, it will marry that information with the camera that's picking up the speed sign. So if the speed shifts from 80 to 60 k's an hour, the camera picks that up, displays it in front of you, and you have cruise control on. All you need to do is tap this button once, and it will automatically adjust to that speed. So it just makes that driving experience a little bit more convenient. Yes, you could do it manually yourself, but it just adds to that kind of experience. So well done, Alfa, with that. Obviously, lane departure alert is standard. Autonomous emergency braking is standard, as well as your blind spot monitoring and everything like that. So all the safety features, very well covered. And this car is a 5-star ANCAP safety rating as well. That scored 98% on the ANCAP, which is really, really great. So coming through the interior, you have a beautiful color touchscreen display for the Apple CarPlay. Super functional and works really, really nicely. The gear selector is a little bit quirky. It's probably the only thing I haven't liked. You have to press the trigger behind it to shift it up and down into drive, reverse, and into the manual modes. Because the park button is right at the top, you could be stopped in the middle of a turn while trying to go in reverse or drive, and it will really easily go into either neutral or into park on you, which can be a little bit frustrating. I have given it to multiple people to test out to see if it's maybe just me and the way that I shift my gears, but it wasn't just myself. So that's probably the only letdown on the interior of this car, because it is a beautifully designed car and super functional. As we mentioned, the dials to control the color touchscreen, so you can shift between the two. You have an electronic park brake. cup holders or bottle holders. More importantly, they're placed right down the front away from the gear selector, so it's a nice workable location. You have USB ports both in the front and in the center console. The USB port in the center console will do your Apple CarPlay, and there's a wireless charging pad as well at the front of the console. It's interesting that they've gone the way of the wireless charging pad because we've tried to connect this thing with wireless Apple CarPlay and it's just not worked at all for us. So that's something we have to go back to Alfa with and just get clarification. 12-volt power outlet at the front, dual zone climate control, heated seat controls for the front two seats, as well as a heated steering wheel button. So it just really adds to that premium Italian feel with this car. Driving position is superb as well. Visibility is great. Blind spots are great. So highly recommend you get in one, go for a drive. You'll absolutely love it, particularly if you're considering a premium mid-size car from the usual competitors. Up here you have all your controls. These controls will open the blind on the panoramic sunroof, as well as full opening the actual sunroof. There are dual panoramic sunroofs, so there's one in the back seat, which we'll show you in a sec, and also the one at the front here, and a massive sliding panel if you want to have some air coming in through the cabin, through the sunroof. So that opens up, and it's a beautiful design, a thin sheet of glass, and it goes the whole way back, which is fantastic. So that's really it for the front section. Let's show you the rear. Coming into the rear, guys, the beautiful designs on the doors, the interior, all carries across. The one thing to note, this seat at the front is positioned in how I would drive and how the position I would be in. So legroom naturally is a bit of a premium if you're 5'10" or above. If you had small kids, that'd probably actually be all right. It does have two ISOFIX points on the outer two seats to cater for children. It has two heated seat buttons, so the outer two seats in the rear also get heated seats. Two USB outputs as well, so you can keep all the devices charged on long road trips. Nice air conditioning vents that actually are usable and functional, even though they're placed on the center console. So they are directional because they're the kind of little round turbine design. Look, to be honest, most mid-sized sedans are going to have a similar space and feel in the back, having tested a number of them. So definitely don't let the rear space stop you. And you can probably set your front driver's seat into a more kind of space-efficient configuration that will still be comfortable for the driver. I just have longer legs and like to sit a little bit further back, so it's just one consideration. The other cool thing at the rear, it does have this sliding kind of blind. So you also get your own roof at the top that is almost panoramic, I guess, for anyone in the back, just to feel a little bit less claustrophobic and have a little bit more air coming in. But outside of that, guys, that's basically it for the interior. The roof is a nice soft touch material. It's not suede or velour. It's still a cloth material, but it is nice and soft touch. So everything about this car has been really well designed and really well thought through. And the materials are really premium and definitely worth considering the car. All right, so talking in terms of boot usability, you have plenty of space. It is a wide and square usable space with a low entry point and a high entry point as well. So it means you should get most things in the back. If you need a little bit of extra room, the great thing about the Giulia is it does have a 60-40 split for the rear seats. These are activated by pulling on these little triggers underneath the two sides, and the seats will drop down as well. One thing to note is that this car doesn't have a spare tire. It has a tire inflation kit. It's not really something to kind of be worried about if you're going to keep this car in the city for most of its life. And most of its competitors don't have a spare tire either. They've got tire inflation kits, but it is just something to be mindful of if you are living in a country area and plan to regularly do longer stints. That being said, in all the years that I've had a car, I've only ever had one flat tire. So, probably not as big a deal as most people will make it, but it's just something we wanted to point out. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's what we think about the 2021 Alfa Romeo Giulia in the Veloce spec. Highly recommend you go out and take this for a drive. It is a superb drive, but also a real Italian sports car that is engaging as a driver. Has really nice premium materials on the inside. You feel like you're getting into a nice absolutely amazing experience when you get in the car. And like I said, I absolutely love this front end. It is different from everything else out there. It's not boring, it's not standard, so highly recommend you get in one, take it for a drive. And like I said, guys, it was just a great experience all around. So take it for a drive, let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to request any other cars that you'd like us to review, and like and subscribe on our channels as well to help us keep bringing you some great videos like this.